Tales of Herding Gods, chapter 469. Chapter translator, Nine Tails. Editor, Dark Gem. The vision before eternal peace, Imperial Preceptor's eyes shifted in an instant, as though the world itself had been overturned by unseen hands. When the brilliance settled and sight returned, they found themselves standing within the celestial palaces. Towering and resplendent, sacred mountains stretched endlessly into the horizon, their peaks piercing the firmament. Divine radiance bathed the boundless realm, illuminating everything in an otherworldly glow. Is this the world within the painting? Eternal Peace, Imperial Preceptor, stood in utter astonishment. If this truly was the world inside the painting, then its vastness defied reason itself. He cast his gaze into the distance, yet no boundary could be seen. Only an endless expanse of celestial palaces unfolding like a divine tapestry. Above them, gods filled the heavens. Some exuded an imposing might like mountains pressing upon the earth. Some radiated divine brilliance, and others seemed detached from mortal dust, transcending all worldly constraints. Yet most of these gods wandered freely, calling out to companions, gathering in clusters to exchange wine, laughter, and camaraderie. Qinmu had drawn Imperial Preceptor into the painting, into the banquet of the celestial heavens. Around them stretched long corridors like heavenly bridges, rainbow arcs weaving through the air. Suns and moons hung suspended above pavilions, while lanterns encased flaming divine birds that burned like living candles, casting warmth and flickering light. Nearby, celestial maidens plucked strings and played exotic wind instruments, their melodies drifting like mist. Some danced lightly upon lotus leaves, their forms graceful as petals, while a rain of heavenly blossoms cascaded endlessly around them. A few intoxicated gods staggered about, their steps unsteady as they raised their wine jars high, laughing loudly while teasing bashful goddesses who avoided them with shy smiles. The sight overwhelmed Eternal Peace Imperial Preceptor. They stood at the very heart of the banquet, surrounded on all sides by countless gods, while in the distance, the sacred mountains shone with an ethereal glow. Not far away sat Earthcount, his head crowned with the horns of 9 bends. He remained motionless, as flames swirled beneath him like a bottomless abyss. Even higher above were several existences of overwhelming presence. Their faces were indistinct, blurred as though hidden behind layers of heaven, yet the oppressive aura they exuded was no less awe-inspiring. Imperial Preceptor, you look like a country bumpkin right now. Just like me when I first stepped into Border Dragon City. Qinmu burst into laughter. In one swift motion, he snatched a pot of wine from a nearby goddess, raising it to his lips and drinking boldly. The goddess was instantly enraged. Where did this brat come from? This is sacred wine meant for the high gods. How dare you touch it? Pesky woman! Qinmu lifted his leg and kicked her aside without hesitation. He seized another pot of wine that rose from a platter and thrust it into Eternal Peace Imperial Preceptor's hands, then leapt onto a jade table before a high god and drank with unrestrained vigor. That god flew into a fury and struck out with his palm, but Qinmu's hand rose just as swiftly. His sword flashed from its sheath, and in a single stroke, he severed the god's arm. Laughing wildly, Qinmu overturned the jade table and shouted, "With immortal wine and verses of sun and moon, a hero ascends the 9 heavens!" Chi! The god's head was severed cleanly, and Qinmu stormed into another hall, stirring chaos throughout the celestial realm. Countless gods roared in fury and attacked him. Swordlight danced wildly in his grasp as he met them head-on, cutting down one after another. Heads rolled across the ground, coming to rest beside Earthcount. Qinmu gathered them and hung them upon Earthcount's horn, laughing as he declared, "Cast out from the sacred registers of Penglai, adorned in splendid robes before Fangzhang's jade halls." Earthcount erupted in wrath. His immense body trembled, swelling in an instant into a towering divine form, 100,000 feet tall. Sacred fire surged beneath his feet, scorching the heavens. Qinmu unleashed his sword pellet. 8,000 swords burst forth, circling Earthcount in a storm of killing intent. They converged into the spiral sword form, slicing through the deity, reducing him to countless fragments. With a motion of his hands, the flying swords surged outward like roaring dragons. His excitement burned brighter as he slaughtered and recited aloud, "Even before a dragon of 1,000 feet, still I roam amidst phoenix feathers' layers." A tide of gods surged toward him like a flood seeking to drown him. Divine light pierced the heavens as Chin-Mu burst forth from a sea of severed limbs. He strummed his swords as though playing a zither, singing without restraint. 1,000 men with nowhere to look. 10,000 gods cannot endure a backward glance. Imperial Preceptor, let me shatter the gods within your heart. Eternal peace. Imperial Preceptor threw back his head and laughed. All traces of his previous despair washed away. His spirit surged like a rising tide as he shouted, "The gods in my heart? Why should you be the one to destroy them?" He stepped forward, swordlight scattering from his hand like falling stars. His battle power far exceeded Chin-Mu's, and wherever he passed, gods fell like wheat before the scythe. Within Numinous Sky Hall, countless gods and devils swarmed toward them in a relentless assault. Chin-Mu and Eternal Peace Imperial Preceptor stood shoulder to shoulder, cutting down all who approached before the heavenly gate. Before long, the corpses of gods and devils piled high across the entire mountain. Yet still, more rushed forward in endless waves, their cries for slaughter echoing through the heavens. "How many more must we kill?" Eternal Peace Imperial Preceptor shouted. "Guard the gate. I will slay the Celestial Emperor." "Go." Chin-Mu replied without hesitation. Eternal Peace Imperial Preceptor charged into Numinous Sky Hall, where the ground was already strewn with the fallen. Boom! In the next instant, he was hurled backward, crashing through the wall and landing beside Chin-Mu. The youth's eyes widened in shock. The surrounding gods were clearly weak. The painter who had crafted them lacked true mastery, allowing even Chin-Mu to massacre them. Yet Eternal Peace Imperial Preceptor had been repelled by the Celestial Emperor. Chin-Mu blinked, his expression turning grave. This is troublesome. That painter must have been a sycophant. He poured all his skill into the Celestial Emperor, making him far stronger than the rest. Having learned under Def, Chin-Mu understood the true power of paintings. Their strength lay not only in technique, but in where that technique was concentrated. The greater the artistry, the more formidable the painting. Yet it also depended on the painter's dedication. The mural's creator had rendered the other gods and devils carelessly, granting them little strength. Even an existence like Earth Count was merely mediocre. But the true focus had been the Celestial Emperor. Just as Def's painting of the young village chief had imbued the sword god's figure with astonishing power, so too had this painter poured immense effort into capturing the Celestial Emperor's majesty. That was why his strength could even repel Eternal Peace Imperial Preceptor. Chin-Mu's heart tightened. He had brought Imperial Preceptor here to shatter the fear within him. But if even the painted Celestial Emperor could not be defeated, it might crush his confidence entirely. Yet at that moment, as Eternal Peace Imperial Preceptor slid down from the wall, he rose again. His fighting spirit blazed fiercely, undiminished in the slightest. Moments later, he was flung back once more. Chin-Mu directed his 8,000 swords to slaughter the incoming gods and glanced at him. His face was swollen, blood covering his features. This is bad. The painted Celestial Emperor's power may even surpass that of an ordinary god. Even as this thought formed, Eternal Peace Imperial Preceptor charged forward again. Bang! He was sent flying back once more. Again and again, this repeated. Before the heavenly gate of Numinous Sky Hall, corpses piled ever higher. Yet Eternal Peace Imperial Preceptor continued his relentless assault, charging at the Celestial Emperor time after time, only to be beaten back repeatedly. With each return, his condition worsened, his form more battered than before. Chin-Mu's gaze flickered. He began preparing the 5 Thunderpot, thinking grimly, even if I must risk everything and destroy this place, I cannot allow the Celestial Emperor in this painting to crush Imperial Preceptor's spirit. Eternal Peace. Imperial Preceptor surged forward once more. Suddenly, all cries of slaughter ceased. The gods outside Numinous Sky Hall froze in terror, their expressions pale as they turned and fled. Chin-Mu was stunned. He turned to look. Eternal Peace Imperial Preceptor stood behind him, holding the severed head of the Celestial Emperor. Though his body was covered in wounds, his smile was pure and untainted. Their gazes met, and both burst into laughter. Eternal Peace. Imperial Preceptor raised his arm and hurled the head far from Numinous Sky Hall. To raise the blade against the forbidden and take the Emperor's head, Heaven Knife is truly heroic. I have finally grasped the essence of his blade and his path. Chin-Mu, aching from head to toe, stepped out with a grin. You are truly monstrous. Your comprehension is terrifying. Grandpa Butcher taught me for years before I understood his blade. Yet you walk the sword path and still grasp its essence. I am inferior to you. Eternal Peace, Imperial Preceptor turned, speaking solemnly. Comprehension grows with one's horizons and experience. Wisdom is the same. Your cultivation is not yet sufficient. When you reach my realm, all profundities will unfold before you. In time, you will surpass me. You could conceive of using this celestial banquet to break the gods in my heart, but I could not. Why belittle yourself, cult master? Qin approached the Celestial Emperor's throne, pushing aside the headless corpse before sitting down. You think I can surpass him? The straight line? You are of the younger generation. If you cannot surpass your predecessors, then what hope does this world have? And you are the overlord body. Qin confidence surged. That's true. I am the overlord body. I will definitely surpass you. Eternal Peace Imperial Preceptor's expression darkened. Qin shifted aside slightly. Come, sit, experience the seat of the Celestial Emperor. Imperial Preceptor hesitated. Is that appropriate? Come, just sit. The view is excellent. Very well. Eternal Peace Imperial Preceptor sat beside him. Together, they gazed out over the boundless expanse beyond Numinous Sky Hall. After a moment, he spoke. The world lies beneath our eyes. From this position comes absolute authority. The life and death of all beings rests upon a single thought. Cult Master, have you ever desired such power? Qin glanced at him calmly. If I say yes, will you eliminate me now to prevent future trouble? Their eyes met. Eternal Peace Imperial Preceptor then turned away. No. I would simply remain wary of you. He rose, his expression returning to calm indifference, so composed that nothing seemed capable of disturbing it. Qin understood. After this trial within the celestial banquet, Imperial Preceptor's Tao heart had ascended beyond the reach of gods and demons. It had become unbreakable. There were no longer any flaws. Qin stood and stepped out of the painting, having gained his own understanding. Only by shattering despair can one ignite an even greater flame of hope and resolve. They emerged from the mural and returned to solid ground, eternal peace. Imperial Preceptor turned back. The painted palace still stood, but now it was filled with corpses of gods and devils. Some trembling figures hid in corners, their faces pale with terror. Qin stepped forward and erased the strokes he had added, restoring the painting to its original state. Scratching his headband, he muttered in puzzlement. The painter's skill was extraordinary, no less than mine. Yet why is a corner missing? With such mastery, he could have breathed life into the figures, allowing the banquet to move as a living world. But with that missing piece, everything inside is dead. It was likely broken off, Eternal Peace Imperial Preceptor replied as he walked out. The battle outside should be over. It is time to restore Xiang Xiyu as Palace Master and bring West Earth under eternal peace. Qin followed, smiling. If you read the Imperial Decree now, declaring her the true Heaven Palace Master, the effect would be even greater. Eternal Peace Imperial Preceptor took out the decree. Before departing, I had the Emperor prepare it. The Emperor truly is a cunning old fox, Qin sighed. As the two departed the Grand Hall, a goddess within the painting stirred. She looked around cautiously. Seeing no one present, she quietly slipped out from the painting. Translator, Ninetales. Editor, Dark Gem. The goddess who fled in haste was none other than the very same divine maiden whose wine had been seized by Qin and who had been sent flying by his kick. She darted toward a corner of the wall, slipped past a painted screen, and when she emerged once more, her appearance had transformed entirely into that of a completely different woman. A circular silver ornament rested upon her head, while a short black gown clung to her figure. On her feet were black, high-heeled, pointed shoes. Her attire mirrored that of an ordinary woman from West Earth, blending seamlessly into the mortal world. So close. That abandoned wretch nearly forced my true form out with that kick. Yet, in the end, I revealed myself. All the gods and devils could only utter simple words like kill or evil creature, yet I spoke a complete sentence. Without pausing, the woman hastened out of the grand hall of True Heaven Palace. Sunlight spilled across her delicate face as she lowered her head, her thoughts racing like a hidden current. They may not have realized it yet, but once they reflect upon it, they will certainly uncover the truth. I must leave at once. Or should I first retrieve the 4 spirit beads? Her steps were swift and silent, light as drifting shadows. Yet as she saw Qin an eternal peace imperial preceptor ahead, she slowed her pace. Composing herself, she smiled gently, adopting the demeanor of a harmless female disciple of True Heaven Palace. Crap! Qin expression suddenly shifted. He struck his palm with his fist and exclaimed, I know where True Heaven Old Mother is hiding. Eternal Peace Imperial Preceptor, sharp as ever, grasped the key instantly. That's right, the painting missing a corner. That goddess carrying the wine. He turned and dashed back toward the main hall. As he moved, he spoke rapidly. We slew the celestial emperor in the painting, yet even he could not form a complete sentence. Only that goddess could. Moments later, however, he emerged again, shaking his head. The goddess who carried the wine is no longer within the painting. Qin mimicked the goddess's tone, his voice carrying a mocking clarity. Where is this brat from? This is sacred wine meant for high gods. How dare you touch it? Such a sentence is far too complex for figures within the painting. Its creator lacked that level of mastery. Therefore, the only one capable of speaking must be True Heaven Old Mother. How cunning of her to conceal herself within the painting. I truly underestimated her. A woman approached the two, bowing respectfully. Cult Master Qin. Qin gaze flickered subtly, yet he smiled warmly. Why does Sister not greet the Imperial Preceptor as well? Imperial Preceptor? I've never seen him before. Could he be that powerful expert who slew Bago? Her face lit with excitement as she quickly bowed to Eternal Peace, Imperial Preceptor, her eyes lingering on him with a tender, almost reverent look. The Imperial Preceptor shook his head calmly. It's not her. After arriving in West Earth, I did not reveal myself much, so most women here do not recognize me. However, I destroyed True Heaven Old Mother's false body. She would certainly recognize me. Qin nodded and turned to the woman. Did you happen to see anyone leaving that hall just now? She shook her head. I was accompanying Chief to seize the vermilion bird bead and passed by here. I saw no one. Qin murmured thoughtfully and waved her away. The woman cast another glance at the Imperial Preceptor before lowering her head and walking past them. Yet suddenly, Qin reached out and grabbed her sleeve. True Heaven, Old Mother felt her scalp tingle, her killing intent nearly erupting uncontrollably. Qin smiled gently. May I ask Sister's name? Which family do you belong to? Who is your chief? True Heaven Old Mother's expression shifted instantly. She dropped to her knees, trembling as she kowtowed repeatedly. I am merely a disciple of True Heaven Palace. Cult Master, please spare my life. If I am discovered, I will surely die. Cult Master, have mercy. Qin exhaled in relief and turned to Eternal Peace Imperial Preceptor. I truly thought she was True Heaven Old Mother. After all, she is a god. How could she kneel and beg a mortal for mercy? She is indeed just a disciple of True Heaven Palace, fleeing for her life. Eternal Peace Imperial Preceptor waved his hand indifferently. You deal with her. Qin helped her to her feet, his expression warm and approachable. Sister, there's no need to be afraid. Do not heed others' words. They call me the Heavenly Devil Cult Master, but that is merely a title. I lack confidence, so I use it to frighten people since I came here alone. In truth, I am the Heavenly Saint Cult Master. Our cult is benevolent and never harms others. I myself am also very kind. Look, even the Imperial Preceptor is one of the 4 great Heavenly Kings of my Heavenly Saint cult. By the way, what is your name? True Heaven Old Mother hesitated, disbelief flickering in her eyes. My name is Tian Siyu. You truly won't hand me over? Eternal Peace Imperial Preceptor seemed to recall something. I must announce the Imperial Decree. I have no time to linger here. Qin walked alongside him, still holding True Heaven Old Mother's hand. I am searching for someone, a youth named Pangong Tso, also called Grandmaster. He leads Roland's Golden Palace and once visited True Heaven Palace. Has Sister Siyu seen him? True Heaven Old Mother allowed herself to be led along, not daring to resist under the Imperial Preceptor's presence. I have seen him. I only know he is called Grandmaster and is a close friend of Elder Yu Qingchan. However, he is no longer here. When he saw Cult Master Qin attacking True Heaven Palace, he fled. As expected of Grandmaster, Qin sighed, then smiled again. Sister Siyu, stay by my side so no one bullies you. West Earth's tracking techniques are unparalleled. Sister Siyu's divine arts must be extraordinary. Surely you can track Pangong Tso. I will protect you, and you help me track him. How about it? True heaven, old mother's eyes brightened. All right, deal? Chinmu laughed heartily. Why would I deceive you? Deal. Imperial preceptor, read the decree and then accompany me to pursue Pangong Tso. Very well. I too wish to know which god stands behind Grandmaster and where he hides. Eternal peace, Imperial preceptor replied calmly. True heaven, old mother's expression subtly darkened. She had intended to accompany Chinmu alone, where eliminating him would be effortless. Yet he had invited the Imperial preceptor along. With that man present, she was in grave danger. The slightest misstep would lead to her death at his hands. At such close proximity, if Eternal Peace Imperial Preceptor struck, she would have no means of defense. Still, his presence is not entirely unfavorable. It gives me opportunities to eliminate him as well. But I must first obtain the 4 spirit beads. Once they are mine, dealing with him will become far easier. The great families of West Earth finally subdued True Heaven Palace, slaughtering and capturing all experts of the Yu family. The clan selected Shi Yu as the new palace master, reinstating Nai Kui. Holding Xiangqie's hand, she accepted the reverence of the masses. Eternal peace, Imperial preceptor read aloud. Emperor Yanfeng's decree, and Xiang Xiu accepted it at once. Meanwhile, Qin Mu pulled Xiangqie aside and asked for her green dragon bead and black tortoise bead so he could play with them. True heaven. Old Mother's gaze fell upon the 2 spirit treasures in his hands, and she struggled to suppress the urge to seize them. The 2 children ignored the solemn decree entirely, instead tossing the beads back and forth, laughing and playing. Xiangqie giggled endlessly, her laughter bright and carefree. True heaven, Old Mother's anger flared like wildfire, yet she merely turned away, pretending not to see so as not to inflame her irritation further. Suddenly, Qin Mu placed the green dragon bead into her hands with a smile. Sister Siyu, play with Cheer for a while. True heaven, Old Mother held the bead, staring at Qin Mu in a daze. She could not comprehend his intentions. The green dragon bead, now in my hands. Its power can erupt at its peak. If I act now, all within True Heaven Palace will be frozen and petrified. A sharp glint flashed in her eyes. Yet just as she prepared to act, she noticed Eternal Peace Imperial Preceptor's robes stirring without wind. A chill gripped her heart. These 2, both are cunning old foxes. They are testing me. A cold shiver ran down her spine. She immediately suppressed her killing intent and obediently sat down, playing with the beads alongside Xiangqie. After a short while, Eternal Peace Imperial Preceptor finished reading the decree. Qin Mu retrieved the green dragon bead and returned it to Xiangqie. Once all had received the decree, Xiangqiu called Xiangqie forward. Taking the 2 spirit beads, she bowed deeply. I am willing to offer these 2 spirit beads to His Majesty and pledge unwavering loyalty. He Yi, Mu Yingshui, and the others showed slight changes in expression. Xiangqiu understood her precarious position. Unable to command West Earth fully and already having lost 2 of the 4 beads, so she chose to surrender the remaining ones to Emperor Yanfeng. A calculated move to restrain the great families. Eternal Peace Imperial Preceptor accepted only the black tortoise bead. Palace Master still requires treasures to guard West Earth. Keep the green dragon bead. Xiangqiu expressed her gratitude and helped Xiangqie to her feet. After the ceremony, Eternal Peace Imperial Preceptor urged Qin Mu onward. You have left traces of romantic entanglements everywhere, yet cannot commit to any. Be wary of ending like Jade-Face Poison King, forced to disfigure himself. Resolve matters quickly, and let us find Grandmaster. I am not flirtatious, Qin Mu protested, bracing himself as he bid farewell to the women. He Yi gazed at him deeply. Cult Master won't stay a few more days? There are still matters unfinished. Mu Yingshui spoke bluntly. Little man, go if you wish, but wait for me to climb into your window when I reach Middle Earth. Xiangqiu, holding Xiangqi's hand, parted reluctantly. If not for Cult Master, we would have perished long ago, our bodies left to wither in the wilderness. You are a great benefactor to my Xiang family. Should you ever have need, True Heaven Palace will not refuse. Qin Mu smiled gently. There is no need to dwell on it. I merely followed my heart and refused to act against my nature. Nai Kui, Chier, farewell. As she watched him depart, countless emotions stirred within Xiangqiu's heart. Suddenly she shouted, Righteous man! Qin Mu paused, then turned back with a smile, raising his hand in farewell. Those words were not the reason he had saved them. He simply could not bear to see Xiongqir die at the hands of True Heaven Palace. Yet now he was worthy of that title. Qinmu leapt onto the Dragon Chilin's back, pulling True Heaven Old Mother up with him. Imperial Preceptor, West Earth is a land of beauty. How will the Emperor govern it? Eternal Peace, Imperial Preceptor walked through the air, his tone calm and steady. He will treat them as he has treated you. Such is his breadth of mind. I made it clear to the Emperor that I wish to conquer West Earth without force. That is why I did not mobilize the army. War would have shattered the peace here. The women here are exceptionally beautiful. I would not allow atrocities such as pillaging and violation. Thus, I told the Emperor I would not bring an army of 1,000,000. Instead, I recommended one man equivalent to 1,000,000 masters. And that man, he turned and smiled at Qinmu, is you. Under heaven, only Cult Master Qin can sweep through West Earth alone. Qinmu was taken aback, then laughed. Imperial Preceptor flatters me. Sister Siyu, would you not agree? True Heaven Old Mother smiled faintly, yet remained silent. Qinmu placed the black tortoise bead into her hands. Sister Siyu, cast your tracking spell. Let us quickly locate that brat Pangong So. True Heaven Old Mother gripped the bead tightly and glanced at Eternal Peace Imperial Preceptor. The middle-aged man stood with one hand behind his back, quietly forming sword seals.